cut out your patterns. I made my patterns. You can probably get them at like Joann Fabrics or online. This is the sleeve. This is last year's pattern, so I kind of increased some lengths because these are for my son and he's a little bit bigger now this year. So this is a longer sleeve. These are the pants. They're a little longer, but they're thinner because he doesn't need them that baggy. The top is pretty much the same because it's more so that his legs grew than anything, so the top stayed the same. It's just pretty much the length of the arms and legs. Cut out all your patterns, or all your pieces. There's 4 legs, 2 of these, one's the left and one's the right, and that's the back. 2 sleeves and the collar. I have a different pattern than I'm using for the collar this time, but it's just going to be because it's narrower. I start with the end of the sleeve. I take a piece of elastic, fold the end over it, hide it in between, and I will pull the entire piece down to the length of it with the flap still folded over and sew on top of the entire length. I use the zigzag pattern, if you can see it, and when it's done it'll bunch up. You can barely see it, but it goes back and forth on the entire piece of the elastic and keeps it in place better, and it makes the end part for the sleeve like a cuff, if you will. Fold it in half and sew from the pit all the way to the end of the sleeve. Fold over the bottom and hem all the way across on the back piece. For the right front piece, fold over the side. This is where the buttonholes and the buttons will be, and fold the bottom up and sew all the way across. Starting at the bottom of the right piece on the side, I make my buttonholes, and I do 5 going up the entire length, spaced the width of the plastic part. After you sew all 5 of the buttonholes, you take a seam ripper and you open them up from the back side so that it leaves a clean mark on the front side. Put the front left and right pieces together. Keep the seams at the bottom, the sewing where the hem meets, line that up and go like match it all the way to the top. And where the buttonholes are, put a mark on the other side. It with probably just like either chalk or a light colored pencil to where, whoops, it's hard to do with one hand, to where you want to put the buttons, like kind of put a dot or something or a mark, and just go up all the way and mark out where you want your buttons so that you can sew the buttons in the right spot for to line up with the buttonholes. You can see your orange dots that you made, or whatever color you use. Put the button over it. I mean, it does wash off, but you can still try to hide it, and kind of leave a gap before the edge of the fabric, just so that your button's not like overhanging. Switch to your button foot holder and sew both parts of the button. And do that for the rest of the other 4 buttons. Once you're done with all the buttons, put the pieces together, like the front and the back, or at least one half at a time anyways, and put the right sides together, like the side that faces out, like that you see. Put that side together so that the buttons are on the inside, and then you're going to sew the top part here. That's the shoulder part, not the sleeve, and then but you sew the bottom. So you're sewing these 2 pieces, one here, one here. After you sew your 2 parts up there and down here, put the other side on and do the same thing. So up at the top here and down the side as well. After you have both of the sides sewn together, the front and the back, you're going to take the one sleeve, and it's the right way. So you take the sleeve, turned around to the right way. You put it inside, and you have the tip facing forward, like facing the top, sorry. And you're going to take this tip and line it up with the seam that's up at the top. And some of it will be sticking up, And that's how you start, is you put it under here in the machine, and when it's in the machine, make sure that the foot is not too far off or there's not much of the bottom part sticking over like there is on the top. Make sure it kind of lines up with the end of the foot underneath, and you're going to start just before the actual seam, like before the seam underneath, so that when you sew you can do a back stitch, and that will be the top of the shoulder. And with the needle all the way down so that it holds your fabric in place, lift up the back, and you're going to take the bottom, match up the two seams, the bottom and the bottom of the sleeve, match up these two two parts, and pull this straight together. And then you can put your foot back down and sew about halfway through until you get to here so it matches up. When you get to the point, back stitch this part too. Make sure the needle goes down, and then you can take the end that you started at and pull it kind of snug so that it's all smooth and that you can finish your way around the sleeve. After you're done sewing all the way around, just kind of trim up the excess, and when you turn it inside out, it will look more and more like pajamas. After you get that second sleeve on sewn in, you can turn it inside out again, or actually the right way, and all that would be left to do is the collar. For the collar, I've got about a 3-inch wide strip, and it's not as wide as the other one. The other ones I normally do. Just take it, fold it in half, and all I'm gonna do is sew just a corner, like a curve, on each side to kind of give it like a little bit of a curve to it. So the ends will look like this after I sewed them. And then I'm going to turn them inside out, so that now I've got a collar that has like a little curve at the end. Now to attach the collar, I've got the collar upside down now, where the cut open end is at the top, and my pajamas, this is the back part, the part that's against me. This is upright, this is the back of it. I'm going to take the back of it and put it on top of this, but I'm going to start at the end. Hold on a second. Where the buttons or buttonholes are. Actually, the button holes. Fold over this little edge, match it up to the edge of the collar, and start to sew there. Start sewing down. Match the lines, like the edges, all three parts as best as you can. I put a tag in mine at the top, but this is what it'll look like when it's all done. And next is the pants. It shouldn't take as long, but I'll show you how to do those. On all 4 pieces of your pants, you're going to take the hem, the bottom part, and sew your hem. So you're going to take it, put it over a little bit, and just put it in your machine and sew across the bottom. There's all 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. After the bottoms are sewn, put them together, the right sides together, and you're going to sew the long straight part, not the part with the point in it. Start from the top and go all the way to the bottom on both pairs. After it's sewn, open the leg back up, do the same with the other one, and put the right sides together, like put the seams together, and you're going to sew from the top all the way to the point. I gotta match them up, but you sew from the top all the way to the point on both sides. After you sew the 2 sides together, you're gonna take it and go this way. After you lay it out flat, you're gonna sew from the bottom up into the seam and then down again. Now to do the elastic waistband, it's kind of like doing the sleeves, where you take the end and put it over the elastic, making like a hem. You start sewing the edge of it, because this is where I'm going to back stitch it to make it stronger. This is going to be the back of the pants. And again, I'm using the back and forth stitch pattern so that it catches, it makes a better stitch on the elastic. And as I go around the entire waist, I'm going to actually pull on the elastic as I go around. So I'm going to just pull on it and sew at the same time. I put the tag in on the inside of my pants as well, and this is what it looked like after it's all sewn around. And turn it inside out. And there we go, there's the top and there's the pants. And that is a little tutorial on how to make toddler pajamas. Thanks for watching.